This is Becca. You're about to watch an interview with Bonnie McCune. We did have some technical difficulties while we were experiencing our interview and going through that. So you might see some glitches. I think we swapped sides of the screen at one point. Please bear with us. We got it all hooked together. I hope you enjoy our interview. It was lots of fun to do. Bonnie's a great author, and I highly encourage you to go check out her website and see what other books she might have that interest you. Ah, we are interviewing Bonnie McCune, Denver writer. You have quite an impressive bio that you had on your website, and your website is bonniemccune.com, and you've
Right.
got your books listed there and kind of your bio and all the stuff about you, which is awesome. I particularly liked the part about wanting to be 7 inches taller. I too suffered that. So, so you've got several awards here. Tom Howard Short Story Contest in 2012, you got the second prize. Best New Writing Anthology in 2013, finalist. First prize for short stories in 2011 Arts Affairs Contest. Second prize in 2011 Women Who Write Prose Competition. Third prize in Green River Writers 2011 Short Story Contest. First prize in On the Premises 2009 contest. Seventh place in 2009 Writers Digest Short Contest. Second prize for fiction 2005 Writer Studio Literary Contest, Arapahoe Community College. So you've been doing this. This is like you're in it.
Yes. Yes, I've been doing this
Nice.
since I was 10 years old.
Sweet. What were you like as a 10-year-old?
Oh, I wrote some poetry. I wrote a poem and sent it about rain rushing down the gutter. I sent it to the Saturday Evening Post, and they,
Uh-huh.
of course, rejected it, but that's all right. It took me a long time to realize how determined you have to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that's good. So you started writing little bits at 10. That is awesome. That is an awesome, awesome thing. And so now you're in Denver, Colorado,
Right.
and
And
you work from
actually,
home?
I work from home now, but I don't know if I included in my information or told you that I worked for libraries for about 12 years.
You
I worked
didn't.
for
That's
the,
awesome.
yeah, I worked for the Denver Public Library and I worked for the Colorado State Library. And I
Nice.
specialized in public relations and marketing and communications.
Awesome.
So libraries are very much familiar to me and they're like a second home.
Nice. Yes. I love being at the library. My mom used to drop me off at the library when I was a teenager and I'd be there for hours.
Yeah.
Such a bookworm. Oh, all right. So I have just read Falling Like a Rock. We have this one on our shelves here. And we like to stick a little Colorado flag on it whenever we have a Colorado author. Just so,
Good.
there's some people that like to read stuff that comes from local talent, and that helps them find it. So, so I wanted to make sure that everybody knows that you have clean romances. Do
Yes.
you do you want to tell us what you kind of define that as, or how does it come about?
Well, the way I describe it is there are no thrusting loins in my books. There's emotion, there's feelings, there's romance, but it doesn't go into graphic descriptions of physical interactions. Because I have to say, I consider it to be similar to chewing. I mean, how much time can you spend describing chewing food and swallowing it? So
Yeah,
I opt in favor of the emotional entanglements.
right. And you know what? There's something to be said for our imaginations. We
Right,
we can fill in the blanks just fine.
right. So even a fifth grader could read my stuff and not worry about it.
Yeah, and I like that. I like that. It gives me something to suggest. I do a lot of interactions with the young kids all the way up to the elderly at our library. I kind of am the special events and outreach person. And so I try to find stuff that fits those different groups. And I like this genre of a clean romance because then you can bring it into the school for a junior higher or whatever, and it's totally fine. They have the maturity to read it, but they don't need to read, you know, everything from a what do we want to call them? Full scale romance? I don't know.
An X-rated romance. Yes.
Yes, yes. So do you find a lot of support with your publisher to keep with that lane?
I actually have been with 3 different publishers. Romances come and go pretty quickly. So this is my third one, and this one is based out of Great Britain. And frankly, mine is one of among the tamest books they publish. So
Oh,
they haven't suggested to me that I spice it up, but they just let me go my way.
yeah. Okay. Well, cool. I'm glad that they'll let you go your way because I like that. So is there anything? So after I read Falling Like a Rock, and I gotta admit, it got me in the first opening bit where you were talking about going through I-70 where it's near Lyman, because I thought, oh, I've been on that stretch of road. Yeah, that's what it looks like. That's a good description. Is there anything that you want to know that we should know as readers, or as me suggesting books to other folks? That does this compare to your other books? Do the characters intermingle? Is it a standalone?
I pretty much write standalones. I
Okay.
never really have been drawn to serials. And I also use a lot of my own um, experiences in my books. Like the part near Lyman happened a number of years ago when my husband and I were coming home from back east, and we drove through there, and I think there was a really strong wind, and there was a
Hmm.
trailer truck in front of us that was just going like this. But as I looked around, I thought, oh, this is a perfect setting for a scene. So I lifted
Oh
that.
yeah.
All my books so far have been set in Colorado.
Nice. Nice. Well, I like that.
And I think writers, especially romance writers, tend to opt for, um, at least my kind of romance writer, things that are familiar, like Boy Next Door, Girl Next Door, Second Chance at Love. So the setting of Colorado is ideal for that sort of thing.
Hmm. Yeah, because you can meet somebody at a ski resort or the grocery store or whatever. Yeah.
Well, you used to be able to. Now you're covered by a mask, so you have to be doubly careful.
This is true, yes. Yeah. And in my case, I have my sunglasses on too. So I've got my sunglasses and a mask. So all people will see is, my hair whipping around in the wind. And who is that? Oh,
There are advantages to masks. With masks, you don't have to necessarily put on so much makeup, and you
oh,
don't
true.
have to brush your teeth. You can even
Oh, we
sneeze in it
should.
and you're fine.
Yeah. Oh, now we're getting really to know each other.
Right, we're getting down to the truth.
Yep. Yep. Oh, okay. So I guess we answered my next question. You write standalone books. Um,
Right.
Now, what kind of person are you writing for? Do you have anybody in mind when you make your books?
I write for people like me, and I write about people like me, although obviously, usually younger people than I am now, because I've written my whole life. And one of my book heroes is Jane Austen. So
Hmm.
I use her approach in deciding what I'm going to write. She didn't write about kings and queens. She wrote about people that live next door or trips locally, and the stresses and strains of everyday living. And that's what I write about. I think everyday life has enough excitement in it. My blog is actually called Ordinary People, Extraordinary Lives, because I think everyone's life is extraordinary in some way. And that's what I try to open a reader to, is this new life that could be somebody living right next to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that. And that's your blog?
Right.
Okay, Ordinary People, Extraordinary Lives. I like that title. That is cool.
And I have seen so many people that I know or hear of who, and this, I mean, this lockdown is a perfect example of it. People don't know what to expect. So the best they can do is just to move forward and do their best. And you will hear stories about people helping out neighbors, or
Mm-hmm.
if there is a tornado, there's always people running out to help one another or rescue someone. So the extraordinary things occasionally happen to all of us.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that. And you never know because people won't tell you what's going on. You have
No,
to just be their neighbor. So, nice. Okay, so you said you're writing for people like you, and you're just ordinary people, extraordinary lives. Is that a
right,
good description of you?
right.
Nice. Nice. I like it. And so your ideas come from what?
Well, let's take the book that you read, Falling Like a Rock. I actually got the idea for that novel years and years ago. There was an article in the local daily about a group in a mountain town that had all gotten together to form a weight loss group. And from
Mm-hmm.
that little idea, and if you remember, there is a weight loss group in this book, the whole
Mm-hmm.
thing
Mm-hmm.
developed. And then I threw in different bits and parts of myself and people I know and people I knew and situations that I had run across, and kind of stirred them all together and made that into a book.
Nice. Nice. And I liked it. It was a good book. Yeah.
Now, the newest one, see, I'm not even going to be able to remember the name of my newest book. Well, ask me another question and I'll think.
Okay. How long does it take you to write a book?
Oh, it takes forever. Forever. I am currently working on a science fiction novel that I started at least 40 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And I put it away for a long, long time. And then I got involved with a science fiction and fantasy critique group through the Rocky Mountain Fiction Writers. And I pulled that out and I'm revising that. But all of them take, at least a couple of years. I'm not a fast writer.
Well, and I think people who take their time writing, their books end up turning out better because you have time to let your thoughts mature and kind of go back and go, I didn't want to say that, I can say that better. And and it's just the book benefits.
Well, it could be that their minds move faster than mine. I don't know. Mine just goes very slowly. So yeah, and it gives
That's
a
so
it
cool.
gives the characters a chance to interact too.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it. I think any good book, um, because I obviously I work at a library. I'm a reader. Um, I think any of my favorite books, it takes a long time for them to get written. They'll be in the mix for 5 to 10 years before they hit the
Mm-hmm.
shelf.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So, do you do people around you know that you're a writer?
Well, the people in my critique group know I am. My close friends know. Most people don't know. And I had a whole 50-year career as a freelance writer too, simultaneously with full-time jobs and motherhood. Um, so I learned really a lot of the craft from my freelance writing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't categorize things like that. Everything kind of merges together. And if anyone out there is wanting to be a writer, as they say, read, write. Whatever you write is going to benefit you. But the caveat, and the one that took me decades to learn is open yourself up for feedback from other people. You
Hmm.
can't be real sensitive when it comes to the content of your writing, because someone may hate it and someone else may love it. And you actually may learn more from the person that hates it than the person that loves it, because
Mm.
that person may say, well, what about this? You overlooked this. You had that person suddenly pop up in a new setting and you didn't explain how they got there. So being involved in a critique group makes you humble, but is good for you.
Hmm. Yeah, that's good feedback. It helps you in any walk of life, is taking that as constructive criticism. It's meant to make you better.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I like
And
that.
I don't know who said this or if anyone said it, but I'm sure someone did. You actually learn more from failure than from success. And that's true in
Hmm.
anything you try.
Yes. Yes. There's some I saw something where you do it as, you put FAIL and then you have the words coming off
Oh,
of them, and it
mm-hmm.
was just future attempt, something like that. But I was like, oh yeah, that's yeah, because it doesn't mean it's the end. You're still working
Right,
on it.
right.
Yeah, yeah. So if not many people know that you're a writer, do you have a lot of people in your everyday errands or whatever that kind of recognize you when you go out and about?
No, I don't. I live in the neighborhood that used to be Stapleton. That
Oh,
is no longer its name, but that's what I call it. So
yeah.
we moved here like 3 years ago, and any move takes time to make connections. But some people recognize me. I mean, I have neighbors and friends and stuff. But no, people don't chase me down the street asking me to autograph things. No, that doesn't happen to me.
Okay, all right. I just thought I'd ask. Oh, so, and what kind of books do you read?
I read everything. I'm lucky enough to be in a good book club that is
Oh, nice.
primarily women in the area, and everyone has different interests. So at first I wasn't sure because I thought, oh, do I want to read all these different kinds of books? But I get something out of each one, and that is helpful too. So I don't especially read mysteries, but sometimes a mystery will come along. And I don't especially read thrillers or novels set during wartime, but those come along too. And every book that I read, if it's well written, I learn from it. If it's poorly written, I actually learn from that too.
Mm-hmm.
I read, I kind of get into dystopian sci-fi.
Oh, I
And
do too.
yeah, and old fashioned, well, they call it space opera, where the good guys win. And I read a fair amount of literary novels. I read some romance, but probably not as much as one would imagine. There have been times that I read much more. I
Mm-hmm.
don't read much nonfiction. I do read a little bit. I love Malcolm Gladwell. Have you ever read him?
No, no, I'll have to write that one down.
He actually is based in Canada, but he wrote The Tipping Point, and he writes these nonfiction books that talk about society and people in society that are eye-opening.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'll have to check him out. All right. Well, that's good. I'm getting an author suggestion, so I can go figure out another book to read. I My husband reads probably, I don't know, 30 plus books a year. So compared to him, I am a lightweight. but but I do want to always have one on me, you know.
Right,
Um, so let's see. So you read a lot of different kind of books.
right.
Have you always been that widely varied, or did you when you were a kid, did you mostly stick to one genre or another?
No, no, I read everything. I come from a very large family, and my older sister and I learned at a young age, first of all, that we read, easily and loved it. And then we could
Mhm.
escape all the noise and chaos of our household when we were reading. So, yeah,
Yeah.
we read all the time, and I was the kid in the library with the summer reading certificate that had all the little that so many stars on it you couldn't see it.
Mhm. Yes.
I
Nice.
remember reading my father's copy of Tarzan of the Apes. It's a wonderful book. I
Uh-huh.
went back and reread that. Do you know about Project Gutenberg online? You can download free electronic
Mm-mm.
copies of classics. So I reread Tarzan, I reread Heidi, I reread The Five Little Preppers and How They Grew. Lots and lots of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Nice. That is awesome. So it's Project Gutenberg?
Gutenberg, yeah, like the
Okay.
Gutenberg Bible.
Okay. Great. Well, cool. This is great. We have people going all sorts of different places to get book suggestions and getting educated on things. Oh, goodness. So I'm lucky enough to be in the library today, but as I think we've kind of been talking back and forth getting this set up, sometimes I'm emailing you and talking back and forth from home. And I have some cats. We live out in the country, so obviously we have to have cats because they have a job. And they like to come across my keyboard and help me type or so I don't know if any of the typing escaped my attention when I sent you emails. Do you have that same sort of thing? Do you have pets that are around you while you're working?
No, I don't have any pets, and my children and grandchildren are almost grown. So sometimes the littlest grandchild is 9, so sometimes he visits, but he doesn't walk across the keyboard.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you have a safe keyboard.
Right. And I have a room I can shut myself away in.
Nice, nice. So is this the room where all the books are written?
Yeah. When we
Nice.
moved here, we moved into a new place, and I have my own little room.
Mm-hmm.
At one point, we were in an old house in near West Washington Park in Denver, and it was a Denver bungalow, so it was really the attic. And I used to sit in an alcove. The kids never came up the stairs because they were too steep, and it got so hot in there, and I would pound away in there.
Oh, wow. Whew, not ideal.
Nope. But if you're inspired, you're inspired. I'm currently reading the book The Martian. Are you familiar with that? They made a movie out
Mm-mm.
of it. The Martian.
Mm-mm.
It's the first manned landing on Mars, and they were supposed to visit for a long period of time. But a sandstorm came up, and one man out of the crew of 6 got left behind. They thought he was killed, but he wasn't. So when he
Mm.
wakes up, he has to create some kind of life for himself for a couple of years till they can return and get him. So
Mm.
that's the kind of inclement weather that I'm comparing myself to is this sci-fi book with all these hideous sandstorms and no air and no water. So you can always feel better than something that's written down because your real life is better than that.
Nice. Oh, well, and yeah, I'm out here. Our library is not too far west of Lyman, maybe 30 minutes west of Lyman. So we get a lot of wind and the sand and yes, I could imagine. Yeah, you have to build something to get your life preserved.
Yes.
Woo.
Well, the star of the movie they made from that was Matt Damon. And
Oh.
Matt Damon looks so much like my son that I keep envisioning my son going through all these hideous challenges on Mars. And I'm cheering for him.
Nice. Nice, nice. Well, so since you work from home and you've been doing this successfully, and the rest of us are probably all new at it, what does your daily schedule look like? How do you separate out your personal time and then working time? How does your day flow?
I've never been very effective at that, but at this point, I try to spend 2 hours a day working on my fiction. And because I have other things that I'm doing, I don't necessarily say a particular time of day, but I just like to try to carve out 2 hours. It might be an hour in the morning and an hour in the afternoon, hour in the morning and an hour in the afternoon, or it might be 2 hours consecutively.
Oh, and so I think we already touched on this next question, if your physical surroundings influence the book you're working on, and I think that was a yes.
Yes, and they do. I think that's the same book that I have the heroine riding a mountain bike down a mountain.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I had, before I wrote that, I had just tried my first mountain bike trail, which terrified me. So I stuck
Mm.
that in. There isn't there also a broken leg in that one? I
Mm-hmm.
think there's a
Ankle.
broken. I actually broke my ankle very badly years ago, and so that became part of it.
Oh,
And I
wow.
visited some of the scenes that are in that book. And the new book, I'm trying to think, what scenes do I have in that? I can't remember. I have a winter blizzard in one, and I don't know if you were in Colorado at Christmas of '82. There was a terrible, terrible
Yes.
blizzard. Yes,
Yes, I
I
was
stuck
in
a blizzard in
Aurora.
there.
Yes. Well, so you were saying that you kind of based all the scenes that some of the scenes I read in Falling Like a Rock, you based those on your life. I didn't write it down here on my list of questions, but what is that just a generic mountain town that you kind of created from a lot of different towns, or is there a specific town that that's based on?
Well, it's very loosely based on Leadville, but I really like mountain towns. And after I started writing longer fiction, I realized why writers do that. It's because you're creating a world that you can control. Otherwise, if you try to set something in a huge 8 million population city, you still need to pull it in somehow and focus on a part. So a small town makes it easier to handle those kinds of things. So
Mm-hmm.
yes,
That
there's
makes
part
sense.
of Leadville in there. Yeah,
Nice. Nice. Yeah, as I was reading it, I was kind of going, I can identify with some of this. I've driven through places like this, and I just kind of I found myself Googling and going, what town what town would this be?
I think the bar in it is set in Leadville because we have visited there a couple times and I really like it. I also really like Frisco. We've gone there.
Mm-hmm.
And the first novel is actually set in my old neighborhood in West Washington Park in Denver. So again, a smaller unit of a large city.
Mm-hmm. Nice. I like that. And that does let you control how how things are going to flow in your story.
Right,
Nice. Nice. So you have a book that you're working on, and this, did you
right.
say this is a sci-fi?
Sci-fi. Actually, I'm working on two. I'm working on a young adult thriller that I started with my grandson 3 years ago, and
Mm-hmm.
the poor kid now is off to college and has not been involved hardly at all. And I keep plugging away at it. Like I
There
said,
you
it
go.
takes me a long time.
That's okay. Good stuff to those who wait. All right. Well, I think that's all my list of questions. I know we're going to put a link to your website. It's
Okay.
bon- BonnieMcCune.com. We're going to put that in the comments. And
And
then,
people can sign up for my newsletter,
oh,
and
good.
I also have an Instagram account and a Facebook account, and I think I included those on the sheet that has my
Hmm.
bio and things. So
Yep.
I would love to have people stay in contact with me. I love to go out and talk to people about books. When I was with the Colorado State Library, one of my big loves was early children's literacy. And
Mm-hmm.
I still am a big supporter of that. So helping little kids learn to love books is a favorite of mine.
Yes. Well, you are looking at the Storytime Librarian. We do preschool field trips. We do we work with the One Book Colorado to get those books out to the preschoolers every year. And yes, I agree. I try to get them in here, figure out what they like, and I all the time working with the moms. I just say, what do they like? Do they like trucks? Do they like, dinosaurs? Do they like whatever? Because if they like that, then let's find a book about it because then they'll want to read about it. And
Right.
yes, yes, I love that too. All right. So, is there anything that we haven't covered that you would like your readers, our patrons, to know? We've got the website, the Instagram, the Facebook. I will be putting those all up with our video.
Okay. Nothing else, but people are free to email me and I'll answer them. And if they
Okay.
have groups that they'd like to connect via, I'm learning how to do Zoom,
Oh,
um,
yes.
connect via Zoom, I'd be happy to do that.
Awesome. Awesome. Nice. Yes. I love this new way of doing it because our library is way out, and not a lot
Yes.
of people want to drive all the way out here for a 1 hour, meet and greet type thing. And I don't blame them. It's a long drive. And right now, there's places where they won't let you use the bathroom on the way because everything's kind of shut down. And
Yeah.
so I came up with this idea and I asked our director, and he said yes. So I'm excited.
That's great.
Yes.
Okay,
So
well, it was nice to meet you and to visit with you, and maybe someday we'll meet face to face, with or without masks.
yes. Otherwise, I'll look like this. All right. Well, thank you for joining us, and we will get this all put together and get it up on our YouTube site. And then, yes, hopefully people go to your website and contact with you or connect with you on Facebook and Instagram. Sounds
Okay,
great.
great. Thanks so
All right.
much.
Yep. Have a good day. Bye.
Bye.